All right, good morning. Here we go again. Oh, good evening, good afternoon. Who knows when you're watching this or where you're watching this, but I will say it is morning for me. All right, I'm just going to post messages to the world out there on all my social media apps, and then I'll be there drawing very shortly. Glad to have you here. Go. Here we go. Away we go. Posting, posting, posting. Posting. Post, post. Post and post. Alright, I think I have successfully. Yes? I believe so. Okay. Alright. Time to maybe get drawing. Well, first we do our little plug at the beginning. And for many of you who follow along with this regularly, this is a plug you've seen many times. But I'll keep coming back to it because, hey, it's something I like to try to plug. What you see in front of you right now is the third Twisted Graham Mandible Doodle collection. It's a book that I self-published, did a small print run of. Just collects selected cartoons from things you would find on my Instagram or any social media thing you follow me on, you know, the daily cartoons. This is a collection of them. Physical form. Can't beat that. Because if a server closes down or an app goes away, you still have this book. Yeah. So anyway, there's still, it's a small run, but there are still some copies left. So I can't guarantee when I'll print more or if I can print more because financially it's tricky. But there are still many copies of this left. It would help me out greatly if you spread the word or buy a copy. Anyway, there's that. Oh, and when you order it from my Grickle shop, which is the only place you can order it, it comes with a signed bookmark with a doodle on it. Look at that. So anyway, there you go. That's all my shilling plugging for the morning. Let's get drawing. Hello everybody. Oh, look at this. The chat's already going here. The Kinsey. Yay. Hello Swarm of Dead Insects. Good to see you here. Hello from Ottawa. Well, that's not far away. Excellent. Okay. All right. Let's get into this book. This book is almost done. Again, one of these episodes, sessions, whatever you want to call them, I'm going to finish this book live. And we're getting there. I've got a few ideas of what I might do next, but I'm not sure yet. Anyway, that's for the future. This is now. Look at this book. It's so full. Where are we going here? Nope. No dee doop doop boop ba doop boop boo. Still. Good morning, Wyatt. H naught. There we are. First prompt of the morning of the day is Titanic. Oh boy. What's everybody's feelings on Titanic, the movie? I will say, I haven't watched it since I saw it in the theater. I didn't really care for it. I know it's an unpopular opinion. And I do like James Cameron, don't get me wrong. I appreciate James Cameron. But that particular film was just a little too, in terms of its storytelling, a little just too over the top for my tastes. But I guess it's like, the kind of subject matter it was. It needed to be over the top, I guess. It certainly resonated with a lot of people. So I'm never a good gauge of what the general public's gonna like, I guess. As you may have noted, my sense of humor and content is a little twisted. Anyway, whatever. Yeah, and I was thinking, well, the ship and the movie are the same, are they not? I mean, the movie is about the ship, but I don't know. What do I know? Okay, Titanic, here we go. Boom, 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 boom. I don't even know where to begin. I'm just gonna draw. Titanic. I'm gonna draw that fateful moment when it first strikes the iceberg, right? I mean, that is that's the moment. Oh, nice. I'm glad to hear I pulled you on to here. Nestle09. Glad to have you here. Like, it's like no one saw the iceberg coming here. Whoa. Oh, you're. I'm glad. Glad I've been a source of inspiration, Zupiro. Thanks for being here, man. I hope watching me draw live doesn't dispel any of the myths you may have built about my drawing skill. Because, boy, it gets all exposed here. It is always interesting, challenging, and fun to try to figure out how to indicate motion, movement, in a single image. What are the poses you pick? Staging you choose? Always fascinating. Always fascinating. It is definitely one of the funnest things I find about drawing. How do you indicate movement through stillness, I guess? I have no idea how to draw an actual accurate representation of the Titanic model-wise, but there you have it. Yeah, I've said that to a lot of people. I feel like, you know, art and specifically cartooning, I suppose. At least for me, I feel like this is like the one card trick I've been able to develop in my life, um, and I just utilize it over and over. But it is art, and it is beyond a trick. I mean, there's something about the process of creating something visually, something from a blank page. It's very, I don't know, I don't want to say empowering, but I suppose it is. It feels awesome. Sometimes it goes horribly and it makes you feel kind of bad, but I don't mind the risk. You gotta try. Um, I guess I'll add some tone to this. Let's get some tone going on in here. Yeah, a comic is art. All of it is. And there's no denying that, and I'm not tooting my own horn here, but that distillation of representing something in a simplified form in a stylized manner is a huge thing. It's I mean, if that isn't art, I don't know what is. And that is what cartooning is. Simplification of a lot of times complicated looking things in real life and adding that tone or vibe of humor or scariness or whatever it is that your art is going to exude. I mean, that's huge. And it's the stuff I respond to. I will say, like, I generally don't get much of a thrill out of, I mean, I can appreciate highly realistic drawings, but I don't get a big thrill out of them. What it thrills me most is stuff on the level of a Quentin Blake or a J.J. Sempe, where it's very simplified, distilled down to its essentials, and yet there's so much personality in the line and the feeling. It says so much with so little. That's where I enjoy things most. And that's not for everybody. We've all got different tastes. That's fine. But I know for me, that is what I appreciate the most out of cartooning. Is what I strive for, I guess, in my own work. Is how much can I say with how little? Can I get to the point? Let's see here. Just gonna add some tones, color to the ocean here. Yeah, again, communicating things, right, through abstraction, if that's a word. That's the trick. That's the fun stuff. That's the interesting thing for me. I thought I had a dark blue here. Do I? No, that's black. Sorry, just looking for a particular pencil. Ah, good enough. Good enough. Maybe I'll add some sky color here. This is a little risky, but I just want that iceberg to pop a bit as a white mass. I feel like this will help it a little bit. I don't understand. Inactive biz AI viewers streamboob.com. What the hell is that? I don't know. I don't want to call that out too much, because if that's just some spam bot thing advertising, I'm not into that. Especially if it's AI related. Gross. Anyway, it is a scammer. How do you report it then? Whatever. Gross, man. I don't want anything to do with AI, to be honest. That's my personal opinion. Okay, I think that's the Titanic. Titanic, we're moving on. Oh, look at this. There's two Moderators. How do I get I don't see again, guys. I'm sorry. I'm so naive and clueless about how Twitch operates. How do I get moderators? Do I assign moderators within the group here? I don't know. Because, yeah, I could use help. Clearly. Clearly I could use help. Okay, cool. Well, if anybody is willing to report that, please do. Or click on the name. No, that doesn't give me any options. At least not through the phone. Okay, thanks, Swarmated Insects. As usual, you're on it. Oh my gosh. Favorite logo. That's a complicated one. My favorite logo isn't because of the aesthetics. You know, I'm not a real big sport person, but I guess I am to some degree. I don't like it when sports gets gross and people become too enamored with their teams and their whole lives hinge on them. But at the same time, I recognize it. And I understand it. Wait a sec, I just realized my mic has not been hooked up. Sorry. God, see, I'm always forgetting stuff. I knew there was one step I was forgetting. Pardon me for a minute. See if this improves our audio quality. I don't know, is that better? Sorry about that, everybody. I always forget something. Obviously, everybody could still hear me, though. Alright, that's better? Good. Goodness, I apologize. I always forget something. Anyway, sorry. I was rattling on. Rambling? Logos. Sports affiliations. The ridiculousness of it. Yet, I fall into it. You know, as you may or may not have already known, I'm a huge hockey fan. And in Canada, we just say hockey because ice hockey is the only hockey as far as Canada is concerned. So you don't bother saying ice hockey. That's how you can always tell people from other countries is they always have to say ice hockey in front of it because other countries get into field hockey and other forms of hockey. But Canada, if I can speak for the country, really only cares about ice hockey. So, hockey. Anyway, huge hockey fan from an early age. I know it's kind of the Canadian stereotype. And as such, I have a favorite team. And I will draw their logo because I have drawn it many times as a child and as an adult. It's kind of seared in my head. Although I'll probably, having said that, mess this up. Because it's simple yet, like all logos, kind of complicated for some of the choices. Can anyone guess what this logo is already? If there are any hockey fans out there, they're probably going to know what this logo already is. Nick, I am following Canada in the World Cup. Yeah, it's been wild to watch what they've achieved already. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, Canada has done more than enough. I mean, the World Cup, not expecting Canada to win it by any means, but the fact that they've scored goals and they've tied games and they've won games by a blowout. I mean, that's amazing. Yeah, I'm very excited to watch today's game, regardless of the outcome. Yes, the Quebec Caribous. Yeah, I grew up in Ontario, the province of Ontario in Canada. And generally, when you grow up in Ontario, well, there's a certain team you're supposed to be a fan of, but I was not. Contrarian right from the beginning, I guess. I don't know. I couldn't follow that team. Just wasn't working for me. But I also grew up in a time when this team was particularly dominant, so it was also very easy to fall into the bandwagon of the winningest franchise in all of hockey. And so I did. And I have not stopped following this team ever since. So anyway, this is my favorite logo. Not for necessarily aesthetic reasons. I can think of lots of logos that I'm sure are much more cleverly designed and made and are fun to look at, but this one, has its ties in my appreciation of the team and the franchise, and so this is my favorite logo. I wish I spoke French, Deirdre. I have attempted to learn it over the years. Again, growing up in Ontario, and especially in Sault Ste. Marie, Northern Ontario, there's just a certain cultural backlash, I guess. I don't know. Stupid. Anyway, didn't really pay attention in French class. Learned a bare minimum. But since moving back to Canada and now living just south of Ottawa, I have tried to increase my knowledge of French because, honestly, I have French. My grandmother was French Canadian, and so there is French in our background, like many Canadian families. And I love Quebec, and I love the French, and I love the Canadians. So I wish I knew more French. The maple syrups. What a franchise. Really, Nick? You think Canada is going to beat South Africa today? I don't know. I don't have any expectations in terms of winning at this point. But I don't follow soccer enough to know exactly the strengths, weaknesses of all the other teams or countries. I just presume that it's wild that Canada is even in this stage. So, again, I have no expectations. I'm just happy they're there. Sorry, I was looking back on the chat from an earlier bit. I'm sorry if this is too boring for people, this drawing a sports logo. I will get back to drawing funny Grickle cartoons in a minute. But I can't lie, this is my favorite logo. And if I have educated any of you who are completely unaware of the history and whatever events of the National Hockey League and hockey in general, well, if you're going to follow a team, this is the team. Probably the most amazing city when their team is in the playoffs. The most winningest team in the history of the league, in the history of the sport. You can't go wrong. You just can't. But, it's a complicated thing because for Canada, it's always the French-English thing. And Montreal Canadiens represent so many famous French-Canadian players, obviously, but also a lot of amazing English-speaking players. It's a very storied and complicated history. Oh, that's, an abstract fish. That's a pretty great observation, swarmidid insects. I will say that, the sort of antithesis of the Montreal Canadiens in the league is, I guess, the Toronto Maple Leafs, because they represent English Canada, or possibly the Boston Bruins. And those fans of those teams like to make fun of the logo, and they call it the toilet seat. But I prefer to just not listen to that. I think an abstract fish is a pretty great idea. Pretty great way of perceiving it. Yes, and that salty horse has a whole other history to it. For the longest time, I always thought, because the nickname, sorry to keep going on about the Montreal Canadiens, but I love talking about them. The H in there. Canadians have a nickname called the Habs, which is short for the Habitants. Habitant, I guess, was a nickname or a phrase name given to I think the voyageurs of the fur trade industry from like 300 years ago. and it sort of represents the name for French Canadians. Anyway, that became a nickname for the hockey team back in the 1900s or early 1910s, and it has stuck ever since. But so for the longest time as a kid, I always thought the H in there stood for Habs, but it actually stands for hockey, Canadians hockey. Anyway, there you go. Okay, I'm gonna move on. I have talked enough about hockey in the summer months, and we're gonna move on. Rastafarian. Oh my gosh, Rastafarian. Okay, here's a moment where I don't have the ability. I'm not going to do any research. But Rastafarian, what do you think of? I think of Bob Marley. I don't know if that's accurate. Like, Rastafarian is a religion, a way of life. I associate everything with it with Jamaica and the Caribbean. Am I wrong? Yes, and the colors. Yes, green, black, and yellow. Thank you for that help, Taru Tikkanen, because that's going to come into play here. And I think of the crazy big hats, right? Is it a philosophy? It is a religious movement. Okay. Yeah, and I should know more. I don't know that it's exactly tied to it, but I love my wife many years ago introduced me to the whole ska era in the early 60s, which I had known nothing about, really, and some of the most incredible music ever. I was very into 80s ska, the sort of reinvention of it in the 80s with a lot of British bands, like the Specials, and oh my gosh, I'm forgetting the name of the other band that was big. Anyway, I had no idea that those bands were just basically Madness, of course. Yes, Madness. English Beat, sorry, that's the other band. English Beat. Friggin' loved the English Beat. But I didn't realize that most of their songs were just them redoing these 60s songs. Anyway, all that said, I don't even know if the ska movement ties into Rastafarian. But there's a whole Jamaican roots thing. Alright, I'm just going to draw a massive hat with some dreads coming out. UB40? I don't know if I would call that ska. I mean, there's a I'm forgetting the other. My brain is not working today. It doesn't work most days. Reggae. Reggae is the word. UB40 falls more into reggae, and I don't know exactly the definitional difference between the two, but ska definitely, to me, has more pace to it, a little more lively, whereas reggae is a little more laid back. Not little, way more laid back. Yeah, reggae. And I think, yeah, UB40 falls into the reggae kind of zone, which again, similar but different. I've never been to Jamaica, never been to the Caribbean. Known lots of folks from that region that are awesome people, but I myself have never been there. More horns, yeah. That makes sense to me. This feels like a crowd scene to me, so I'm gonna just draw. It's like this guy just turned looked at the camera. Oh man, Nick, that's a bit of a stretch, but oh, that's cool. I'm glad you try. So I'm just drawing random people here. All right, whatever. Okay. Excuse me. Wow. What were the colors we agreed on? Taru, you gave me a good list there. Green, black, and yellow. Green, black, and yellow. Okay. Green. Black. And yellow. Is that really it? I think there's some reds in there too. I'm gonna just throw red in there. I think you can do a bunch of stuff, right? Oh, Nick, I knew you were going to ask at some point. No details to share, sir. But yes, Puzzle Agent 3 for sure. Coming soon. No, I don't know, guys. But again, I will say, I'm working on it. Figuring it out. Trying to get there. I would love to make more of it. Believe me. Believe you me. This world needs more Puzzle Agent, and I need to work on more of it. Good old Nelson Tethers, right? Yeah. Okay. Just gonna sort of fade everybody out in the background here. Archie Glandrews asks, do you feel more liberated returning to an old theme or more confined? Well, honestly, it depends on the theme. You know, inspiration is a funny thing. And I will say I definitely fall into the category of shiny new stuff, always chasing shiny new things because I think they're better. But something about returning to an old or something that you've figured out already, or you've sort of got the ground rules figured out, can put you further ahead to get more creative. It's tricky. I don't know. But I guess, say, in reference to Puzzle Agent, like that's a world I just keep wanting, I want to explore more of. I feel inspired to try to expand that universe. So I'm very inspired to work on something like that. But I don't know. Box Trolls 2? I don't know if I'd be too interested in doing more Box Trolls. I feel like I did and said everything I could with that back when we worked on it. I mean, don't get me wrong. I suppose if Leica called me up and was wanting to do a sequel, I'd think about it. But it would depend on what the script was. So many factors. Oh my gosh, I would love to do more Eerie Tales, or at least more horror comics for sure. Yes, I've been thinking a lot about that lately. More horror stuff. I love doing horror themed things. Nick, what's the deal with Telltale nowadays? Well, I don't know all the specifics. Short answer to that is that the company itself, the original one, went bankrupt, financial straits, and then was picked up, rebought, reset by a whole different group of people. And so it's the same name, but it's like a whole different group of people that sort of purchased that name and its assets. And thankfully, they still publish Puzzle Agent on Steam, so that's cool for me. And they seem nice enough. I've only had a few little interactions, but yeah, run by a completely different group of people. I don't have really a whole lot of contact with them, so I don't know exactly what they're up to or what their plans are. And so yeah, Telltale's kind of like just a different video game company with the same name, if that makes sense. Swarm of dead insects. Good observation. Yes, similar vibe. If things persist, you know it might be worth pursuing. But kind of step back from the initial thing. Although I don't know, there's value in following your inspiration when you get amped up on something because you might end up somewhere you never would have thought. Uh, yes, Salty Horse Skunk Ape. Yes, those guys I do know because they were part of the original Telltale, and they're a great group. And yes, I do keep in contact with those fellows. Excuse me. Okay, sorry. This prompt is wild animals. Wild animals. Doesn't mean I have to draw any specific kind of animal. I could just draw wild creatures. And that's what I'm going to do. Kind of, I don't know, I feel like I guess I'm thinking of Maurice Sendak and Where the Wild Things Are. This is sort of like a bat-like creature. Yeah, agreed. Swarm of dead insects. Raccoons at a keg party. That's a pretty good prompt. This guy's got sort of an orangutan bat creature kind of vibe to him, which is a bit of an odd mix, but I kind of like it. Yeah, early adopters. I'm not great at adopting things early. It seems to take me a long time to get into things. I don't know if I have the ability to just adopt things quickly. It takes a while for it to all sink in for me, which can be good and bad. Picturing some sort of fantastical jungle setting here. Sort of a weird looking elephant creature. Well, looks like an elephant, really. Interesting. Okay. Yeah, I hear what you're saying, swarm of dead insects. Finding things that survive and persist. It's tricky in this world. Everything's always changing. It's just the nature of this universe, I think. Constant state flow of change. But it's finding those things that stick for good reasons. There are some bad things that stick around too. Seem to repeat themselves constantly. Yeah, you and me both, Nick. Though I don't know. I have my doubts about this. Whatever. I don't want to rant about AI. Everyone's sick of hearing about it. I'm sick of hearing about it. But I have my theories that the truth of AI will eventually come clear, and we'll realize it's not gonna. These guys are pitching the idea that AI is everything, and I don't think it is, but I don't know. I really don't know. It is terrifying to me that we would so readily, happily bring our I don't know what I'm trying to say. Bring our end into reality. It's so clear to me that every science fiction story for the last 200 years has warned us that this would be a very bad idea. And yet we're gleefully running towards it because of investors and capital. So gross and stupid, in my opinion. But we're humanity, and we love chasing new things. Especially if it's generating quick wealth for certain individuals. Anyway, there is a bit. I'm pessimistic. Anyway, whatever. Yes, sea swarm-bitten insects. I'm hoping that the bubble bursts and we see what we're really looking at here. Well, hello, Herr Klamok. Sandwich tastes fun. I see, guys? Twitch. What's going on here? A raid? I don't know how that works, but cool. I'm gonna just keep drawing. That's what I'm here for to do. Not to try to understand the ecosystem of Twitch, although it would probably benefit me to know it better. I'm just glad everybody's here watching. I am drawing wild animals, if anyone has just joined, which I suspect some have. But not really any specific kind of animals, just wild things. Again, sort of inspired with Maurice Sendak and all that, Not that I really read that book that much, but I do remember it. It's hard to not know where the wild things are. I never did watch that Spike Jonze film. Is it worth watching? Anybody seen it? I'm sure it is. I'm sure it's magical and got cool stuff in it. I never did watch it. We're going to draw some really wild creature in the back here. Yeah, the elephant is not maybe necessarily an elephant. Certainly not accurate to any particular species that exists on this planet. And what's going on back here? Heck if I know. But it sure is wild. let's see. This guy in the background needs something else to be going on. I'm gonna make him sort of a winged bat creature. There you go. That's wild, right? Definitely wanted in on the photo here. It's the only thing I can do, Hair Clemmock, is just make up shit as I go. It's what I've done my whole life. I don't know. I guess it falls into the doodly category, but I love the tightrope aspect of that. Walking the tightrope, trying to add more stuff in without messing up things. And sometimes, lots of times, I mess things up. But there's something thrilling and exciting about just adding stuff in as you go. I always think a lot about Sergio Aragones from Mad Magazine, and he's just like the king of that stuff, and fast. Oh my gosh, that guy's fast. I saw him draw live at San Diego a few times at the San Diego Comic Convention. It is wild to see him draw live. At least it used to be. I don't know what his speed is like nowadays. He's getting up there in years, I guess, but there you go. Oh, cool. Glad to hear that, Cawthorn Dragon. Glad you appreciate the Dracula stuff. I love drawing vampires. I guess I'll add some color to this. Let's get some color going. I'm kind of pleased with the way this one turned out. I'm not seeing the one pencil crayon I'm looking for. All right. Well, let's just start. Gru the Wanderer. Yep, loved Gru. I mean, I knew I'm so old. I knew Sergio's work through the Mad Marginal stuff long before Gru, but I remember being so excited when I heard that he was going to be doing a regular comic book. And yeah, I have a bunch of Grus from many, many years ago. Yeah. Yeah, Mad Magazine for me, my age, whatever, my era of generation, that was hugely influential for the kind of cartoonists and stuff that they did. Sergio was a favorite. Probably my most favorite out of Mad Magazine was, I don't even know if I can ever pronounce his name properly, but the Provius, the Spy versus Spy, Cuban cartoonist. I just loved Spy vs. Spy so much. I loved the simplicity of those strips, the visual language, no words, no dialogue, just silent shenanigans. Loved it. Could never get that. Spy vs. Spy was the first thing I would flip to whenever I got a Mad Magazine. Read that first, look at it first, study it. Then I would go back. I'd look through all the marginals for Sergio's stuff. Oh, and then Don Martin. Loved Don Martin as well. Those were my three. That was a trifecta of what I most appreciated out of Mad Magazine generally. Now, there's plenty of other amazing artists that have done stuff for Mad over the years. Al Jaffe, I like some of his stuff. Of course, Mort Drucker and all the incredible artists that did the movie versions. Yes, Dave Berg was always a bit confusing, but I always read them. Kind of the last things I would read, though, in the magazine. I'm sorry, I'm just scrolling back. There's been a lot of chats here. Oh, I guess because there's a lot of people on today. That's awesome. Probably because of the raiding party. Oh, yeah. Deirdre asked, will all of this or some of this art go into a book? Well, it already is in a book. It's being drawn right in front of your eyes in a book. I don't know. I have no I don't have a plan for where or what I'm going to do with this book when it's done. It's a good question. If anyone has suggestions, let me know. Of course, it'll be the old story of having to figure out the economics of republishing or reprinting or whatever, doing something with it versus whatever. There's always lots of questions. It's never as easy as you think, right? Getting your art out there in a printed or published way. And does anyone really want to just look at these doodles? I don't know. I know I will over the years, but I like looking at my own stuff and seeing where I've changed and what's happened. And where is that other pencil crayon? I need that one last color. It just doesn't seem to be around. Oh, you have the Flight book, Salty Horse. Yeah, Flight. Love Flight. That was fun stuff to do. Auction it off for charity. That's an interesting, yeah. Sorry, I'm just looking for one particular color, which I can't seem to find. Interesting. Where the heck did I put that? Over here? No, not there. Not there either. All right, we're just gonna have to go with that. Splash orange. Sorry, I'm gonna use a pencil sharpener, which is always a bit loud and distressing for some folks. Sorry. Yeah, printing is tricky, especially these days, isn't it? That's why I'm always plugging my collection of cartoon or doodle collection at the beginning of these things, because printed a lot of books, and then you're left trying to figure out how to make people aware that it's out there, because in this day and age it's hard to advertise, or it's the easiest it's ever been, and yet it's the hardest it's ever been, because the wall of noise of the internet makes it hard for anything to stand out anymore. So whatever, I don't know, it's tricky. And yet I love physical objects. Love designing them, making them. Yeah, I think you're right, Tara Tikkanen. I think that pencil crayon disappeared with wherever my missing socks go. Oh, Deirdre, great question. What's the best platform to buy your books? Well, depends which books you're asking about. If you're asking about the doodle collections, I self-publish them, and they're only available via my gricklemart.com, which gets complicated because it's a small little operation. My amazing friend Melissa runs it, and we're limited. We're limited in what we can economically, financially do for where we ship the books. So, all that to say, there's a decent number of European countries that we'll ship to, but there's also a decent number we just can't because of all the different complications with mailing things. And so, like, one of the big ones, of course, is I get no surprise, a lot of British folks, UK, wondering why they can't order my books just straight from the website, and they can't because it's just gotten way too complicated. Not blaming Brexit, but I'm blaming Brexit. All the rules shifted for Britain, and it got really tough to send things there. So there's services and things, I think, that allow you to buy through them, like a third party. I don't know all of them. I don't understand exactly how that works, but I've heard tale of different importers or whatever that allow you to do it. Anyway, you can order my books. Obviously, the postage is a little expensive to get it across the ocean, but it can happen. And I have a lot of folks that order my stuff from Australia, which is always flattering and awesome. So, yeah, gricklemart.com is where you can get my self-published doodle collections, which is the stuff, the daily cartoons that I post. Beyond that, I have done graphic novels for big time publishers. I did Peter and Ernesto, which is a early reader graphic novel series that I got published through First Second, which is a division of Macmillan. And that's available, I think, anywhere bookstores are. They can order it. Anywhere in the world, I believe. Mostly. And of course, Eerie Tales from the School of Screams, which was my horror graphic novel that I created for middle grade readers. And that is published through First Second as well, and again available all over the place where bookstores are or online. I prefer myself to try to find ways to order books through independent stores and smaller shops because, man, no offense, but fuck Amazon and those people. But at the same time, I recognize Amazon is a reality of the world we live in, the convenience it offers. It's hard to get around it. So, but if you have the opportunity to support a smaller seller, by all means, please do. It's just a better thing. Instead of giving your money to the big corporations. Whatever. Listen to me rant like an old man hippie here. Cool. That's right, ebooks. Sorry, Saltaurus. Good point. And again, I just said fuck Amazon. But Amazon provides the opportunity for people to get books that they normally maybe couldn't. So I recognize that. I just wish they had more and more, I don't know, responsible. It's hard. Whatever. When companies get that big, it's just inevitable they're going to get gross. And so, again, I recognize that. But I also recognize the convenience that Amazon brings to a lot of folks. Blah, blah, blah. I'm talking about Amazon. That's my opinion, man. That's like your opinion, man. They're quoting Big Lebowski. Okay, we're getting pretty good here. Oh my gosh, I am coming up on the hour, so I guess I am just about done here. I'm gonna finesse this. Wow, okay, we didn't finish this book yet, but we are so close. So close. Oh man. Hello, potato. Yes, I did not make it to TCAF this year. I regret to say it was just timing of the convention and everything. I couldn't get there. I was just in Toronto last week to visit some friends, and it was great to be in Toronto. But I'm so sorry I missed you, but I'm glad you got some good hangouts. Dustin Harbin. Dan Barry. Awesome. Dustin Harbin. What a great human being. Just thrown out there. Another cartoonist I've gotten to know over the years, and such a good guy. If you're curious at all, check out dustinharbin.com, I believe. Check out his stuff. He's great. He's such a good human being. One of the good ones, as they say. I don't even know Dustin super well. We just have met up over the years, sort of mutually both friends with Scott Campbell, and got to know each other. And yeah, I'm always impressed with just how smart Dustin is, and fully rounded human. You don't always come across those too often. He's one of them. Oh, I bet. Yeah, I bet the jet lag's pretty extreme because you live in Australia. Is that correct? Potato. Yeah, that would be some extreme jet lag. Yeah, I don't know. I've never been to Australia, so I don't know the extremeness of that level of jet lag. I've been to Europe a bunch of times, and that's enough jet lag to mess me up pretty good. But Australia seems like you're flipping the whole thing on its head. Yeah, their own little comics arts thing. Where is Bill? Where is that? Let me know. Where are we talking? I've forgotten where you are located. Yeah, I know, Deirdre. I hear you. I wish I could get postal costs down, but I have no control over that. I gotta. Melissa and I have to, gauge each thing financially, and yeah. So I apologize for the extra expense of getting it shipped. If I was, picked up by a publisher that had more ability to get books into different countries, that'd be great. Sorry, I'm scrolling back. Cawthorn Dragon. You just realized I'm the puzzle agent guy. Yeah, yeah, definitely. No worries. There's no shame in that. Glad you enjoy the art style. Michigan. Oh, so you're not too far away. Right on. Kazu. Kazu's a great guy. Another great human being. Folks, I think I'm done. This has been awesome today. We are still not finished this book, but we're getting there. Yeah, I'm going to sign off, but thank you everyone for showing up. A great session today, and yeah, enjoy the rest of your weekend. And go Canada, go. Maybe they'll beat South Africa today. All right. Bye, everybody.